Cleopatra's Asp, the Serpent's Deception. In the heart of Egypt's desolate desert landscape, under the cruel sun, the archaeological campsite buzzed with anticipation. Nestled between the ruins of a couple of ancient pyramids, and guarded by the stone gaze of a recently unearthed Sphinx statue, a team of international archaeologists had made a monumental discovery: the long-lost tomb of Queen Cleopatra. The entrance to the tomb, a portal to the past, was a gaping maw in the sun-baked earth, adorned with faded hieroglyphs and potent symbols. The team ventured inside, their torches casting long dancing shadows upon the stone walls. The air was heavy with the weight of the centuries, the eerie silence echoing the tales of the ancients. Along the corridor, the torchlight danced over the ancient artwork etched into the walls. Depictions of Osiris, the god of the afterlife, with his green skin and pharaoh's beard, gazed at them with hollow eyes. Next, they encountered Anubis, the jackal-headed god of mummification and the afterlife, his stern expression a solemn reminder of the grave task they had undertaken. At the end of the enormous corridor, a chilling sight stopped them in their tracks. The image of a strange, otherworldly beast, painted with a skill that made it almost seem alive in the flickering torchlight. It was the Set animal, the symbol of the god of chaos and storms. This slender, dog-like creature, its long snout and square-tipped ears, appearing both familiar and alien, was unlike any known earthly being. Its tail, stiff and forked, added to its unnerving presence. The unsettling depiction, a stark reminder of the god it represented, sent a shudder through the group, the ruin's chilling air becoming even more palpable. In the heart of the tomb, the archaeologist unveiled a golden casket, carved with intricate hieroglyphs and decorated with precious gems. It was a testament to the grandeur of Egypt's last active pharaoh. Inside, encased in a bed of silk, lay a mummified asp, its lethal fangs forever bared. Nestled next to it was a small golden vial, rumored to hold the venom that had once claimed Cleopatra's life. Among the awestruck archaeologists stood Malik, a man whose eyes sparkled with a different kind of fascination. He was well respected in his field, but unknown to his colleagues, he harbored a dangerous obsession. Intrigued by ancient Egyptian rituals, he had spent his life studying the arcane practices of the past. The discovery of Cleopatra's tomb was more than an archaeological breakthrough for him. It was the key to fulfilling his lifelong dream of resurrecting Cleopatra. As the team celebrated their groundbreaking discovery, Malik's gaze lingered on the asp and the vial of venom. As night fell over the campsite, casting long, ominous shadows, he schemed to steal the venom and set his plan into motion. The ancient world was about to collide with the present in a way no one could have anticipated. Under the blanket of night, the archaeological campsite fell silent, save for the soft whispering of the desert winds. Malik, his heart pounding with a mix of trepidation and exhilaration, slipped into the tomb, guided by the weak moonlight filtering through the entrance. The golden casket glistened in the eerie darkness, the mummified asp and the vial of venom touch since their discovery. With a careful hand, Malik lifted the vial, feeling a rush of power as he held the key to resurrecting Egypt's most famous female pharaoh. Back in his private tent, Malik pored over ancient Egyptian texts, meticulously researching the rituals required for resurrection. He was a scholar after all, a fanatic who believed in the power of the past. He knew that the venom alone wouldn't suffice. It needed a vessel, a conduit to ferry Cleopatra's soul back into the realm of the living. And that vessel, as per his interpretation of the ancient texts, was human life. The next day, as the sun painted the desert in hues of gold and red, two of the campsite workers fell mysteriously ill. Their bodies weakened, their skin turned deathly pale, and their eyes glazed over with an unearthly sheen. The physicians were baffled, their modern medicines failing to explain or cure the sudden sickness. But Malik knew the cause. He had administered the venom, transforming them into sacrificial lambs in his quest for power. In the following days, the workers finally succumbed to the venom, their bodies becoming the stepping stones for Malik's grand resurrection. However, to his dismay, Cleopatra remained in her grave, silent and undisturbed. The death of two souls hadn't been enough, but Malik was far from deterred. He was just beginning to understand the depth of this gamble. He needed more victims to appease the ancient gods and bring his obsession to life. Little did he know, he was opening doors that were meant to remain closed, summoning powers that were beyond his control. Driven by his insatiable obsession, Malik delved deeper into the mystical world of ancient Egyptian numerology. If two, the number symbolizing balance and duality, failed to stir Cleopatra's spirit, perhaps he needed to venture into more sacred territories. Three, he discovered, held profound significance in ancient Egyptian culture. It symbolized plurality, completeness, and divine power. A pyramid, one of the most sacred structures in ancient Egypt, had three sides when viewed from above, representing the holy trinity of Osiris, Isis, and Horus. With renewed determination, Malik sought a third victim. He chose a young archaeologist, a bright, ambitious soul with dreams of rewriting history. The venom was administered and the life was taken, but still, Cleopatra remained silent in her grave. 4. Malik pondered, was his next logical step. The sons of Horus were 4, the cardinal points were 4, and the elements of nature, as per ancient Egyptian beliefs, were 4. He hoped this would be the key, the mystical combination that would bridge the gap between life and death. The fourth victim was an elderly historian, a man who had devoted his life to preserving the past. The venom took him slowly, his life fading away as his colleagues watched helplessly. But Malik's ritual, steeped in numerology and ancient rites, failed once again. Despite the mounting failures, Malik wasn't ready to give up. His obsession has transcended the bounds of reason, his desire to resurrect Cleopatra blinding him to the consequences of his actions. He decided to resort to the most powerful number in ancient Egyptian cultures, 7. His last hope was 7, a sacred number symbolizing perfection and completeness. Melek had become a silent reaper in the archaeological team, his victims unknowingly walking into the jaws of death. The camp was plagued by inexplicable illness, fear creeping into the hearts of the team as their colleagues succumbed to the unknown ailment. Fueled by the belief in the effectiveness and completeness symbolized by the number 7, Melek set out to find 3 more victims, oblivious to the terrifying reality that his misguided sacrifices were inviting. Melek found his 5th victim in a geologist, a man who had always been fascinated by the sands of Egypt. The 6th was a linguist, a woman who had dedicated her life to deciphering ancient scripts. Their lives were extinguished, and their souls were sacrificed in a desperate attempt to resurrect the long-dead queen. The 7th and final sacrifice was to be Melek himself. If the venom did not bring forth Cleopatra, he would join her in death, his obsession fulfilled in a morbidly poetic manner. He administered the venom, his body immediately convulsing with agony. As the 7th victim fell, the ground began to tremble. A deafening rumble echoed through the tomb, the golden casket rattling ominously. Melek, his vision blurring, watched in anticipation as a tear in reality appeared. He could almost see Cleopatra's beautiful visage and hear her enchanting voice. His life's work was about to come to fruition. But as the figure emerged from the rift, it wasn't Cleopatra's graceful form that greeted him. Instead, he was faced with a monstrous entity, a being whose presence sent chills down his spine. His breath hitched as he recognized the deity Set, the god of chaos, storms, and violence. In his blind obsession, Melek had not resurrected Cleopatra. He had unleashed an ancient god, a deity known for his destructive prowess. As the venom claimed his consciousness, he was left to reckon with the horrifying reality of his actions. He had not brought back a pharaoh. He had brought forth the apocalypse. The world awoke to unexpected dawn. The sky was painted with hues of terror as Set, the god of chaos and storms, emerged from the tomb, his monstrous form dwarfing the ancient pyramids. The desert wind howled in despair, the sand dunes shifting uneasily under his gaze. At the archaeological campsite, pandemonium broke out. The team of archaeologists watched in horror as Melek's body convulsed on the ground, his life ebbing away under the venom's influence. But their attention was quickly diverted by the monstrous figure emerging from the tomb. Set, the deity they had read about in ancient texts, now stood before them in all his terrifying glory. His eyes, glowing with ancient fury, surveyed the modern world. Unleashed after millennia, he was ready to reclaim his dominion, to plunge the world into chaos and destruction. Melek, on the verge of death, watched as his life's work crumbled into an unimaginable nightmare. He had hoped to be remembered as the man who resurrected Cleopatra, but instead, he would be known as the man who brought forth the end of the world. In the face of imminent doom, the team of archaeologists found themselves grappling with the horrifying truth. They had unleashed a god, and now they were left to deal with the chaos, their lives hanging in the balance as Set began his reign of terror. Malik's obsession was not only going to claim his own life, it had endangered the entire world. Chaos unfurled across the world as Set, in all his godly might, unleashed his wrath. Storms unlike any the world had seen ravaged cities, reducing them to rubble. The seas churned violently, swallowing ships and coastlines, while the earth shook, splitting open to swallow everything in its path. The archaeological team watched in helpless terror, their historical discovery morphing into a global catastrophe. The campsite was deserted, save for the dying Malik and a few who had chosen to stay. Their resolve hardened in the face of impending doom. Meanwhile, Malik lay on the brink of death, the venom gnawing away at his life. He watched the chaos unfold, his dream of resurrecting Cleopatra replaced by a terrifying nightmare. He deceived his team, sacrificed innocent lives, and, in the end, invited the apocalypse. His obsession had come at a dire cost. His final moments were not filled with glory or satisfaction, but regret and despair. As his life slipped away, he realized the truth. He was not a scholar or a pioneer, but a traitor, a bringer of destruction. His legacy was not one of discovery, but of devastation. The world was being torn apart, ancient powers clashing with modern realities. As the chaos raged on, Malik, the once respected archaeologist, had not just failed himself, but he had also failed humanity. Amid the chaos, Set turned his gaze towards the trembling form of Malik. A wicked grin spread across the ancient god's face, his eyes glowing with cruel amusement. He had been freed from his age-old shackles, all thanks to the foolish mortal who lay dying at his feet. Striding forward, Set towered over Malik, his voice a guttural growl echoing in the desolate desert. You have served me well, mortal. For your part in freeing me, you shall receive a reward worthy of such a feat. With the wave of his hand, the pharaoh's sarcophagus materialized, its surface adorned with horrific depictions of ancient creatures, its interior lined with sharp spikes. Malik's eyes widened in terror as he was lifted from the ground, his weakened body levitating towards the ominous sarcophagus. Set's atrocious laughter echoed in the air as he sealed the sarcophagus, the sound of metal against metal chilling to the bone. Enjoy your eternity, Malik, Set sneered, his voice a terrifying promise of endless torment, as he waved his hand once again, throwing the sarcophagus into the ever-growing rift. As the winds howled, carrying whispers of Malik's agonized screams, the remaining archaeologists watched in frozen horror as their traitorous colleague received his cruel gift. Malik, who had once been their friend, was now trapped in an eternal nightmare, his fate a chilling reminder of the consequences of tampering with ancient powers. The world reeled from the devastation brought by Set's emergence. Cities lay in ruins, and countless countless lives were lost in the chaos. A horde of set animals and other unimaginable, nightmarish creatures emerged from the colossal portal between realms, eviscerating the few survivors near the campsite before following their master that was now roaming away into the desert. The future of humanity was uncertain. In the end, Malik's legacy was not one of discovery or immortality. It was a chilling tale of obsession, deception, and the horrifying aftermath of unearthing powers better left buried. His fate was a stark reminder of the adage that has stood the test of time. Some things are better left untouched, and some secrets, like the venom of Cleopatra's asp, are better left in the past.